Hello folks, welcome to another Warner's Wheeling About video. It's been a few months since I made a video. The last one was my Mercedes R-Class. Unfortunately, I had to return it to the dealer and get a refund because it wasn't a four-wheel drive as I was led to believe it was. Plus it also, even though it just passed the MOT, it had quite a lot of suspension issues. So I was fortunate and grateful to get out of that situation. And we've got the mini convertible still, so I was in no rush to replace it, but I did already make my mind up that I wanted a four-wheel drive car, because where we live in the Lincolnshire countryside, we're in a very rural agricultural area, and our village is at the bottom of quite a steep hill. So in the winter, if it does get wet, icy and snow, then a front-wheel drive Mini could be quite a problem to get out the village. So that's why we chose to get a four-wheel drive, and also to get something big which gave us the option, easy to get all my wheelchair equipment in. So I had a look around and I decided that I wanted to buy locally, and I actually went to look at a Volvo, a cross-country 4x4, and it wasn't there. It was out on a test drive. I was a bit disappointed, but the dealer said, would I like to look at another 4x4? And he showed me a Land Rover Discovery Sport. Now, I'd never considered one of these before because it just wasn't on my radar, it wasn't really something I was looking at, but he brought it round for me to have a look at, and I must admit, it looked very nice. My first impression was you probably wouldn't be able to get in it because the seat would be too high. It's quite a high off the ground, the Discovery Sport, but I was surprised that I could get in. It had a leather interior, so it was easy for me to slide in and out. Close inspection of the car, I could see it had a huge carry space, and it had 7 seats, which is handy if we ever wanted to take the children out. But this particular car had done more miles than I wanted to invest in, so I didn't follow it up. But a few days later I saw one for sale in a village close to where we live, so we popped in to take a look, and that's the car we ended up buying. As you can see, it's a very good looking car. This is a Loire blue, and it's the Discovery Sport HSE Black Edition, which is the one where all the chrome, all the aluminium has been blacked out, including the roof, the wheels, and all the badges, the trim, the spoilers and everything. So I actually wouldn't have looked for a black car, but when I saw this one, I was actually quite taken with it. I thought, yeah, it looks nice. So we took it out for a test drive. It was very nice, and we negotiated a price. That's when things started to go wrong, because when we finally got the car home and I filled it up with diesel, the mileage was 600 miles more than it said in the advert, and that was quite a lot. I mean, I can understand it being 6 miles, 16 or even 26 miles more than advertised, but 600, that didn't seem right. Then add to that, the AdBlue was empty. Had a warning light about the low level of AdBlue. The window washers bottle was empty. There were no car mats in the car, which I thought was a bit odd.
Another thing was the cup holders. There's a removable cup holder and it's a plastic catch that keeps it in. The plastic catch was broken, so every time you pulled a drink or a bottle, the whole cup holder would come out in your hand. This is something I would have thought he would have fixed, but clearly he didn't bother. I managed to fix it for £29 on eBay.
So when I contacted the dealer and I mentioned the car mats, the answer was, well, it wasn't advertised with car mats, which I thought was a bit of a strange response. when I mentioned about the AdBlue, he said it's not covered under the guarantee. You know, you have to do that yourself. I thought a bit odd. But then when I mentioned the mileage, he said, well, you know, we can't always, you know, be sure, because sometimes, you know, we have to take the cars to be valeted or take them to be serviced or MOT'd or something. I said, look, it's 600 miles. You don't go 600 miles to get an MOT on a car, you know. But he then started to infer that it was my mistake. You know, I mean, obviously I didn't check the speedo, I didn't check the sales receipt, and as it happened, the actual numbers were the same, except the 6 and the 1 was transposed. So you could argue that even if you did read it, you wouldn't have noticed the difference. But you know, my point to him was, why would you advertise it 600 miles less than what it's actually got? You know, you can edit your advert, you can update your advert. Anyway, he said he insisted it was my mistake. You know, I should have paid more attention, and you know, there was nothing he could do about it. I said, well, you know, I'm really not happy about that. I said, also with the mats, you know, I said, I've just purchased some mats. I said, I think the least you could do is cover the cost of that. So he did. He covered the cost of £114 for a set of mats for the car, and I left it at that. When I spoke to him about the AdBlue, you know, he said it's not covered under the guarantee. And when I spoke to him afterwards, he said, well, if you'd brought it back to me, we'd have done it. And I said, well, why didn't you do it before you sold the car? You know, surely you prep a car before you sell it. AdBlue, window washers, tyre pressures, you know, those are the basics that you know, a good dealer would do. Anyway, it was my fault because I didn't check anything, so I left it at that. As it stands, I haven't done a review on Auto Trader for his garage. I might do. I'm not looking to be antagonistic or cause a fight, but at the same time, if you're going to use this motor dealer, then you might want to consider taking a mechanic and a lawyer with you, just to be sure. Anyway, with all that said and done, I love the car. You know, it's surprising. It's very comfortable, it's very quiet, rides really well. Obviously it's got the Range Rover, Land Rover off-road system, which we haven't used, and I doubt whether we will use it, but possibly in the winter when it's snowy and icy we might need it. It's just reassuring to know that it's there just in case. I've used it to carry, you know, family and days out and everything else. Plenty of room, push chairs, wheelchairs, kids scooters, it all fits in the back with no problem. And we've been getting between about 40 and 47 miles per gallon. This is the 2-litre Ingenium diesel engine. Now, the service history looks good. For the last 4 or 5 years, it's been serviced every year, full service. So, you know, you can never predict how these cars will let you down in the future, but, you know, the best you can do is to check the service history, and this one looked pretty good. Having said that, I'm not going to take any chances. I've booked it in a couple of weeks' time to have another full service, and that's going to cost me about £778, and that's without them finding anything wrong. I mean, there's seems to be a problem with the parking sensors. Sometimes they make a noise and sometimes they don't. The stop-start system in the car doesn't seem to work. Not that I would use it anyway, but obviously it's an issue. And and obviously I want to check the engine for oil leaks and things like that. So that's where we are at the moment. Loving the car. Great to have the option to have 2 cars. Obviously we've still got our BMW 320 2001 coupe. That's 24 years old this week, and that's in the garage. That was serviced, that had a full service this year, and I put on new discs and pads on the back. So we spent about £500 keeping that in good condition. It's only done about 80 miles so far this year, but we plan on taking it out maybe when there's a nice classic car show or something like that. In the meantime, it stays in the garage. So that's a quick update on where we are with the cars, and hope you enjoyed the video, something interesting. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I've reached a point where I could possibly monetize my channel. So the more videos I put up, the more visitors I get, the more chance there is of me earning some money in the future. Not my intention, never was. This is just a bit of fun for me. I'm not a YouTuber, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, if I got £20 a month at least. Anyway, there it is. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.